What's up guys, I'm J-Dubb, and today we're going to do a video that's a little bit different. I know you guys have seen this thing, the Retevis, what is it called? The RT97L. It is a new 25 watt repeater that Retevis has come out with, and they're being very hush-hush about it. They're not wanting to talk about it, but guys, don't worry. I reached out to them, and I didn't hear anything back at all. Did nothing back from them. But I do know a few people. That's a benefit of doing this. I do end up meeting a few people, and I did have a couple guys send me some pictures of their units. One guy actually opened his up, one guy had his left closed. So I got a few people that have showed us this thing and have given me some specs on it. But first we're going to go through the pictures, and then I'll give you the list of specs and show you the output wattage actually going to the antenna, how many watts is going into the duplexer, your standby amperage, which is really, or your standby wattage, which is really nice because that will allow this unit to run on solar. That is a benefit of this thing. From what I can tell from the pictures that I'm going to show you, we're going to zoom in, we're going to look at everything. It's going to be, there's not going to be a lot to this video, but it's going to be kind of technical if you want to see what the inside guts look like. But we're going to go ahead and just dive into these pictures. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. Alright guys, so as we look at this picture, you can kind of see, if we come in, let's get a red, if we come into right about here, it looks like we're about 8 inches tall, and we are going to be about 12 and a half long to its longest point. Now if you do run this thing on a solar system, you're probably going to have a 90 degrees right here. Yeah, this is what it looks like on the outside. It looks really well built. Looks like you're going to have your waterproofing. The buttons look nice. Not a lot to see on the outside of the case. It does look like we have the same leather strap from the 97S, I believe is what it is. But the unit itself looks really, really well. Let's go over here and look at our next sample of it. So here's a top down of it. Looks like we're going to be about, what is that, 2 3/4 inches wide. Not that bad. It's going to be fairly thin. If you notice though, it looks like it has some kind of heat vents on it. I don't see any external fans or anything. It does look like it comes off in a 2 clamshell, so this top part here is going to come off and this bottom part's going to come off. So that's nice. That'll be pretty easy. Here's a better look at that leather strap, which is definitely some kind of leather. But it looks well built. It looks like the other one. I didn't ask him if it's aluminum case, but it looks like aluminum just from what I'm seeing in like defects right here. Here's a defect. That doesn't look like plastic. This edge looks kind of sharp like it's aluminum. So it could be very well those are all aluminum. But yeah. That's what the top looks like. Alright, now we're getting into some nitty gritty. You can see they did switch out the pin. I believe the other one had a 4 pin. This one doesn't. This has a 5 pin. I've got some specs on that, what he's told me. He's come out with that pin, but I'm not sure why they changed the connector, but they did change it. Here's another look at those, and those might not be heat vents. They don't actually look like, I don't know if you guys can see it, I don't see any hole into it. So those might not be heat vents like I was thinking they were. They might just be there for decoration, which is sad to see. Because if you know anything, this is going to be a 25 watt repeater that is going to put out some heat. Now I know the DB9 boards that a buddy of mine makes, they're not going to work. Actually, both of the guys that I know that make these boards, neither one of their boards are going to work right off because Retevis did change the pinouts. I believe they're both going to be working on trying to get a board for it. That way you can use them on, your different COM ports if you want to have date and time on one, or if you just want a repeater ID or whatever. So I do believe both of those guys are still going to be working on that. But yeah, so far good looking board, or good looking system here. Alright, here's your other side of it. You can see that we have our antenna port here, which is just a regular, was that PL259? Not a whole lot to talk to about that. Let's look here. Here's some information. Now I did black out the serial number of this unit for reasons, but let's see what we got here. We've got our model number. We're listed for G.M.R.S frequency. I think it's kind of odd. I have not looked up this FCC ID, and it says This is interesting because they're marketing this thing as a 25 watt repeater. But if you look right here, it says max RF power is 22 watts. So I don't know. That is that is kind of upsetting. But here we go. Here's our made in China. And Retevis Technologies. Not a whole lot to see there. Not a lot to see on the side. This is going to get a lot more exciting when we start looking on the inside of it. But here's, you can see that clamshell design. I believe these bolts just go all the way through. Ooh, wow, that was really crooked. I believe they just go all the way through and connect on the other side. They might be two sets of bolts though that thread into it, but it does look like a clamshell design. So let's go ahead and look at the next picture. Okay guys, so here is a picture. This is where we're starting to get into the kind of data of it. This is coming out of the radio. If you look down here, you can see this is coming directly out. It's coming into this watt meter, and we can look and we have 16.8 watts, which is kind of what we expected. It's a 25 watt repeater that says its max output's 22 watts. So you come out to about 16 watts, 17 watts. So not that bad. If you don't know, 16 watts is going to do really well. A lot of your other repeaters that people are running, the majority of them, even your 50 watt repeaters are putting out about 22 to 25 watts. Something like that. So 16 watts is actually going to be really, really nice. Let's see. Can we see anything else from this picture? Not really. Let's go to another one. All right, here's the power brick. He sent me this one. I kind of like this though, but let's look at it. So it looks like the power brick puts out 15 volts. I would assume this thing can run off 12 volts as well. What else? It's a 150 watt output brick. That is going to lead me to believe that this thing is going to use around 140 watts, 150 watts at pretty high amperage when you're running it. So on solar power, you are going to have a very limited supply of battery power depending on how much battery power you end up using. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. But what else do we got here? This is 110 to 140 volt power supply. Not a whole lot going on there, but I did like this information right here. 15 volts, 10 amps, and 150 watt hours. That, I do like seeing that. Kind of gives me an idea of how we're going to run this on solar. So here's our first look at kind of the inside of this thing. And let's look and see what we got. So the first thing I noticed right here, it looks like we have our transmitter. So this is basically the part that's going to get really hot. Now, from what I can tell, it looks like this whole backing here is going to be a heat sink that this thing is touching. I'm hoping this whole middle part is the heat sink that tries to keep this thing cool, because it looks like it's going to get hot. Here's your transmit side, I'm assuming, and here is your receive side. So this looks really well. You got a nice ribbon cable. We do have what looks to be like a gasket. Holes, and these holes they kind of look like they thread in now that I look at it a little closer. Kind of looks like these are threading into the actual case itself, so you might just have a bolt on each side that just threads in. That way you could remove one side but not the other if you needed to. I do like that this is on the front here. So worst case scenario, you could put a fan blowing directly on this unit, take the whole face off of it and just have a fan blowing on it, and there wouldn't be any damage to the unit. You wouldn't have to have anything else. Here's your ribbon cable. Looks like it's connecting everything. Not a whole lot going on here. Pretty blank board. I would assume everything for this board's on the other side, but it looks good. We've got, looks like we got little SMA cables that are pretty thick. I don't know what cable that is off the top of my head. I've seen them before, but I can't remember what those cables are actually called, but they look really well done. Let's go look at the other side of it. All right, guys, so let's look at it. Let's look at this thing real quick. And this is what first got my attention. This was the first picture I had sent to me. And this looked like a 50 watt duplexer. So right off the bat, well overbuilt. It's not like they're putting a small duplexer in here that can't handle the wattage. This looks really well done. We have a relay in here. I'm not sure what that's going to be for, but it's going to be clicking every once in a while, it appears. So it's not going to be dead silent like the other repeater. The other repeater, if you have it in the woods and it's in a box, if a bear walks by and hears it clicking, they might get curious and look around and see what's going on. But here is your TX side coming into your low side, your RX side, looks like it's coming into your high side, and your antenna. Now, here's something I don't like to see, Retevis. Why did we put this bend here? Why do we have a sharp bend? Let's look how we could have done this a little bit better. We probably could have had a straight come out and then come into the 90 on this side. That would have been a way to do it, or the way I would have done it. I would have done it here and then maybe just a little bit off-centered. I would have brought this port down here. Not a big deal. It looks fine. It looks like it's going to be fine. You know, they do have a good strain relief here, good strain relief here. It's a short piece of cable. If it were to ever break, it'd be easy to replace. You would just replace this whole piece. You can get them off eBay. They're not real expensive. Once again, really nice, high quality looking cable. The whole system looks really good. Here's your DB9 port coming into it. It looks really well built. Now, can we see the other side of the board? No, I don't have any pictures to see the other side of the board. So, but let's look and see what else we got. All right, guys, so we're back at it. Here's another picture of that. Oh, here's an interesting thing I didn't think about. So people are going to ask, you know, what is this duplexer tuned for? Here we go. Here's another picture of it. Kind of look at it a little bit better. Here's what your duplexer's tuned for. Looks like they pretty much tuned right in the middle of the band. Let's look back over here. Here's another look. I don't think there's anything really that exciting in here. We've got a 10 amp relay. Here's your DB9 pins coming out. That actually looks really nice. I like how they did it this time. Instead of the wires, they actually hardwired it. That actually, it looks really well done. I'm assuming all this is your circuitry for your DB9 board and your power. That doesn't have anything to do with the radio. So let's look over here. All right, so here's another shot of, this is your TX coming right out of the radio, and you can see we are putting out 25 watts. So technically it is more than it's rated for, which is really nice to see going into a dummy load. And this is before it goes into the duplexer, and you can see down here, here's your TX. So really nicely done right there. I like that. Now, here we're gonna get over to some specs of it. Like I said, I had a buddy of mine, they sent me some stuff, and I asked him some questions about what we got here. So here are some of his answers for it. All right, he says that the unit is rated for 22 watts. We saw that in the video. He said it's actually putting out 25 watts and 16.8 on the other side of the duplexer, which gives you about a 1.7 dB loss or 32.4% dB loss. So you know, that's really nice. Looks like it's just a flat pack duplexer, which we already knew that. There's no other RF filtering in there. It's just like a notch duplexer. So he says that they're using the UHF connectors and the SMA connectors. He doesn't really like that, and he plans on converting his to an N-type connector, so that'll give you lower losses. So that's always a good thing you can do. It's easy to do, guys. Just get on eBay, get on Amazon. I like eBay, and you can find, you know, nicer coaxes with nicer ends and stuff, and that's really nice. I like LMR 240. I have to try to see what cable they're using. If I figured it out, I'll put it right here. I'll email them again and see if we can hear anything back from them. And the pinout is different. So I did ask him about the power consumption of this thing in standby. So in standby, he said it is doing 86 milliamps, which I believe comes out to about, let me think. Let me see if we can convert this real quick. It is a 1.03 watts of standby power. Guys, that is perfect for battery power. The reason it is, if you use the two mobile radios and get the full 25, 30 watts of output power, that's nice. But you're gonna have almost 30 watts of standby power just sitting there in standby power. So not really good. And he said it is 4.3 amps when it is transmitting. So let's figure out how many watts that is. So now we need to do it in amps. So we're gonna do, what did he say it was, 4.3 at 12 volt. So 51 watts, which really isn't that bad. The other unit that we were using, they're like 36 watts when they're transmitting. This one's 51 watts, and you're getting more than double the power. So You're getting what, triple the power for not a lot of wattage. So this system should work really, really, really good on a solar powered system. And like I said, y'all could always take that face off and have a fan blowing directly on the transmitter to help keep things cool. You could have another fan, you know, sucking hot air or blowing cool air into the box and put some vents on there. You can make the system work really good. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. Guys, if you want me to go ahead and get one, put it down below, and maybe we'll see if we can allocate some funds and pick one up and play around with it and see how it actually does, see how it works. He said his is transmitting fine. He hasn't had any issues. The ground connectors, for whatever reason, the center pin is the ground, and it has 2 positive leads, and he wasn't real sure why it has 2 positive leads, but it does. So I'm just telling you guys. But guys, put it down in the comments below. Do you want me to pick one of these up? Do you want me to review one? Do you want me to try to reach out to Retevis again? I don't think they're going to deal with me. We'll see. Maybe they'll like the video, maybe they won't. But guys, let me know what you think that we should do. Like I said, put it down below. But yeah, I'm really excited to maybe get a look at it. So guys, that's kind of my first look at it. Like I said, I have not physically touched it. I don't know anything really about it other than what me and you have talked about today. And it looks really well. It looks well built. It looks like something I would pick up. It looks like it is perfect for our solar power setups. I haven't measured the other repeaters to see if it's the same size, but it looks like it's roughly about the same size, not a whole lot bigger. And it looks like it's going to be a well-built system. So guys, put it down in the comments below. Do you think I should pick one up? Do you want me to pick one up? Do you want me to, you know, review it? I do get a little bit of kickback from this, from y'all shopping with my Amazon store. If you want to, you can check stuff out on there. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps the channel out a little bit, and we allocate those funds to do other things like this, like projects like this, getting repeaters and testing them and letting y'all see how they work. But guys, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead, hit that like button for me, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and like always, take someone outdoors.